all of our messages and notifications done, and then we can start this. See how long it takes for my stream managers to respond. There we go. YouTube is live. Notified Discord. And then we're good. Chat. Can't see chat right now. Oh, there we go. Now I can see it. Thank you, OBS, for not being weird this time. Let's see. I guess I'll just leave a replay playing in the meantime. Let's start. I think I'm gonna start with both games today. We'll see if I wanna actually look at one of my games yesterday after. Okay, hello everyone.
Ready for battle.
Set this up. Yeah, I'm live on both platforms. Twitch always says I'm unstable, but I'm pretty sure the Twitch stream is fine. Let's see. Yeah, I've notified Discord, so now I just want to do one copy paste message. If you enjoy this kind of occasional content, check out my page. Take a look. And then I need my Patreon link. So let me grab that real quick. What up, Cage? Where's my link? There we go. Let me pin this and let me pin this here. What up, Gio? And then we should be good. Oops, I need to change the time for the pin. There we go. Yeah, now we should be good. I don't know if the link works right now. Yeah, I don't think the link I posted works, does it? I think I need a different link. Yeah, I think I need the link to be slightly... Oops. I just closed my Chrome. VOD reviewing? Yes, I'm self-reviewing. These are all matches that I've played on GM2 region. I'm now one game away from GM1 on this account. Once I'm done with GM1 here, I'm gonna swap back to main, get GM1 there, and then push for champ. So we're decently close. Like, we need basically a net positive of 11 wins from now until we reach champ, which is the closest I've ever been. Yeah. Can anyone just quickly tell me if the link on the pinned message is working or not? Oh yeah, on the Twitch page it seems to be working. On the YouTube page, I don't know if the link works. No, I'm just one-tricking. I'm just one-tricking Genji. I was forced to swap off for one game. The guy that stole Genji from me sucked, and then I lost. That's it. That's all there is. Not clickable on YouTube? Yeah, for some reason it works on Twitch, but yeah. I don't care all that much, honestly. I'll just leave as is and start the review. So let me go over to OBS so I can read the chats. Should have left? No. Then I get liver penalty. What do you mean? It's just unfortunate. I tanked the loss. Or if it is even a loss, right? It's not guaranteed to be a loss because I can play other characters decently, right? It's not great, but I can do the best. And then if I feel like it, which I basically always do, I just avoid, right? I avoid and pin. I have 2 Genji mains avoided right now on my avoids. Because I just don't want to play with another Genji main. That's it. I want to play Genji myself, right? Yeah. Yeah, let's actually take a look at this.
If you can't cut them, nail them.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's actually dive into the games. The pin of shame. There's no shame in that. It's just having 2 1-tricks on the same team does not make sense, right? So you just avoid each other. That's it. I'll play NA. I'm playing EU right now. For some reason, I've been having issues on NA where sometimes there's some latency fluctuations, and then there's even like a risk of DCing mid-match. So I've just been playing EU instead. So I've played Alvakits yesterday. I've beaten Alvakits. I've played with and against a lot of different Genji players here. And yeah, I'm almost GM1 now. But yeah, at the very start, just posturing for space. We're just fighting to see who controls this area. D.Va has more mobility, so D.Va is gonna grab the corner here. Now, I can't really do that much yet. If I, let's say, flank around, maybe I could flank around with like Kiriko or something like that, but I think that this is fine. Especially because with Mauga, it's just more brawly. Angles matter a lot less. It's kind of like, hey, run in, follow up, and kind of stuff, so... Right now, this makes sense. And then my Mauga just runs it down. Completely outside of where the team can do anything and just dies. So I don't think I did anything wrong here. I don't think I did anything wrong here. Now though, here's the important part. Mauga fed. That's terrible. I have a trick up my sleeve. The enemy team will probably become a little bit overconfident, right? They just saw our tank feed, so now they're gonna try and take space and push hard, right? Clean the fight. What this gives them the opportunity is, if they don't pay too much attention, or even if they do pay attention but don't pay enough attention, I can catch their backline rotating up, as you can see here, right? The Zen is rotating to get a sightline, but I'm lurking in this corner and I'm gonna make an attempt on him. So, fight's not over. It's likely over, but it's not over. So, there you go, exactly. D.Va and Genji go past, go looking for our backline, and then I look for the only play that I can make, right? I go on the Zen. And I get a very clean assassination. Great.
Focus lacks focus,
now,
master.
This is interesting. This is something that I was wondering, but I left for later to review, right? I was not gonna worry about it during the match. What should I have done here? Should have actually tried to kill the carry in one go? Should have just chilled? Should I actually try to kill this Cass? I honestly...
Double kill.
The thing is, I have a great assassination on the Zen, but without our tank and with a good D.Va Genji dive, my team is just gonna blow up. So I think that realistically I can't play the long fight. Yeah, especially because they just have D.Va alive and we don't have a tank alive, so D.Va is just gonna make sure that they have a lot of like staying power and as the fight goes on, right? It's gonna take a lot of resources from us to be able to deal with the D.Va, so a long fight favors them because they simply have more resources, more HP to go with. So I think that here I needed to just go hard on the Kyrie, right? It was a failed read on me. It was a great assassination on the Zen, but I should expect my team to just completely blow up immediately now that our tank just fed, right? So here I should have dashed Kyrie, looked for another combo. I would have actually gotten a kill from my Kiriko, actually landing a cross map shot on her. So now she's in dash range. But yeah, I ended up playing too passively and it didn't work out. If anyone has any questions, if anyone wants me to pause at any specific moment, feel free to let me know. Yeah. The main idea for this stream was that I want to take a look at these games, quickly check how I'm doing, stuff like that, and then I might as well do this on stream. where I can provide some educational value and stuff. But yeah, I end up not going for the carry. I tried to finish off the Cassidy. Unfortunately, my team doesn't quite help me. I wasn't quite in great range, so... It was an awkward push, a hard push, and even though it went well for me, it still just didn't go well enough for us to succeed here, right? And again, the D.Va, right? The D.Va just cleans up house. Yeah, I'm unaware of like the Kiriko's cooldowns. That's it. Because Kiriko should have everything here. And if I swap POVs, we see that she has TP. I don't know what she burned Suzu on. Oh, quickly look. Apparently she burned Suzu on my tank's engagement. That makes sense, right? Although I cannot assume that they even needed Suzu to deal for tank's engagement, right? It was just that bad. So, working under the assumption that she has both Suzu and TP, right? This is a little bit of a habit that I have. I did not think that it was ever worth it for me to do that, right? Because it's very unlikely that I'll get a kill, and then I just burn the cooldowns that enable my aggression, so now I'm forced into 8 seconds of downtime on a fight that needs to end fast, right? Heck, even if the fight needs to end fast, there is a real argument for not burning the cooldowns on Kiri, right? And let's say I have most of my HP here, I could try and flank around this way, climb, use my dash in the duel to, let's say, dodge a hinder or dodge damage, right? For those that haven't seen my latest video, it will explain why this dash through approach is good, right? It essentially just acts as a dodge, just like a tracer blink, right? Which would allow me in a situation where I'm gonna commit to the duel, right? I have to commit because I have to make something happen in the situation. It gives me an advantage in the duel in terms of like front-loaded damage. I'm gonna be able to land 100, 150, 200 damage on him before he can even land a single shot on me, right? If I do this properly. So there is a real argument for, even if I'm trying to clutch this fight, not going for the Kiriko because I'm unsure about the cooldowns, right? But yeah, I think that in this situation that approach is too slow, and I needed to go for the Kiri. Yeah. The important part here is that like there is a little bit to think about, but I'm not just like, oh, I'm so dumb, right? I'm not reacting in a bad way. I'm not like bashing myself for making the wrong play. I did basically everything that I should have, right? Our tank fed, I found a clutch pick on the Zen, right? Found a really clean clutch kill on the Zen. I almost finished off the cast, right? I theoretically had a good idea of like cover usage and mini, right? I did basically everything that I could have. So I'm happy, despite the outcome of the fight, right? Because it was, for the most part, outside of my control. Because basically what I'm looking for is what is within my control, and within those plays, did I do them properly, or is there something to learn from them? That's it. That's all I'm looking for, right? I'm not worrying about the results of the fights or even matches, etc. Right? I had an earlier match, or yesterday, when I played Iconvolt well, and we lost because my tank was forcing Winston into Roadhog and not playing particularly well. So we got close despite that, right? I was happy because I did everything that I could within my control, basically. Now I have to take space. I'm trying to take space through an angle, poking the D.Va because she's the only target available, and now I just spot a cast, so I just finish. And here, this is where I now need to be like, okay, this was dumb. We just talked about not liking an engagement on Kiri when we don't know the status of cooldowns, right? Well, I know that this Kiri TP'd, but I don't know if the Kiri has Suzu or not. If she has Suzu, then she could stall with the Suzu, the team peels, D.Va DM team damages me, etc. And then Kiriko can farm another or another TP to get away. And then I get stranded if I commit. So the reason I'm dashing here is that I thought my Orisa landed more damage. But that's not a good gamble. I just don't like the engagements. This engagement's completely fine if I have deflect. Without deflect, this engagement is absolutely terrible. And there's also not even any reason for me to rush and do this. If we look at the state of the fights, everyone is here, right? Everyone from both teams, they're all spread around, but everyone is alive, right? So there is no reason to make any harsh judgments. I just needed to chill, keep taking more aggressive positions, maybe set up on the Zen, maybe set up better on the Kiriko, and move from there. Because this fight should most likely go away now that we got the trade on the, or not the trade, the pick on the cast, right? Our team is in good shape and controlling a lot of the map. That's it. What you see in VOD reviews? I look for patterns, right? Or I look for things that I would like to improve on, right? Maybe I just see that I made a or maybe not even like in terms of like a mistake. Maybe I see that like I missed a really cool opportunity for a risky but like sick play, right? And then I'm like, oh, I really wish I would have gone for that. Next time in a game, when I see something like that, I'll just go for it and just learn from that, right? Just allow myself to take risks, right? Like that's just one thing, right? Like you can look for a lot of different things in VOD reviews essentially, right? So right now what I'm looking for is I'm trying to check the state of my play, see how my decision making is, and seeing if it is good, which in that case would be great, and if I'm seeing like any specific issues that I would like to deal with, then I will deal with them, right? I'll focus on removing those issues from my play through practice, right? Focused practice. I would go into matches focused specifically on not doing that mistake, right? Or doing the correct thing instead, right? If I'm positioning poorly, I shouldn't focus on not positioning poorly. I should focus on positioning well, right? Yeah. But in this case, it was just silly, right? I had a good fight read on the fight that we should have lost, and then now I got a bad fight read and just made a stupid push on the fight that we should win, and now I toss this. So we're gonna get cap, but without someone, it's easier for them to just walk around, apply more pressure, take angles, right? Genji especially, in a comp like this, Genji and Kiriko are gonna be the ones that are like very incredibly important pieces for this composition, because we need to contest angles. Angles are really important in this game. I'm not gonna spend a long time talking about angles or why angles are important. You're just gonna have to take my word for it, right? Angles can be used to just like shoot down on people or shoot people without people paying attention to you, right? Compromising positions that people think are safe because now you have a new angle, that position. And a position that theoretically safe isn't anymore, right? There are many reasons why angles are important. But, and so one of the main values of a character like Genji isn't even what most people think, which is just like, oh, I go in, I kill supports, I do mechanical things, right? It's I control space to prevent threats from the enemy team from overwhelming us. For example, Soldier is a character that with his mobility wants to take long angles and wants to just spam your team, and once someone wants to go in on him, he wants to move so that he doesn't get marked and so he can keep free shooting your team, right? The best soldiers are the ones that are constantly in annoying angles, either on like the sides or even hard behind you, and then don't let themselves get caught. And so a good flanker, a good character that is good at controlling those off angles, like Genji, like Kiriko, right, will do their job of like not necessarily killing, although killing would be a great outcome, but marking those angles so that the soldier cannot just shoot down on your team and stuff like that. Here, my team is just down, so I see the Genji low on cooldowns, I try to finish off. We're trying to clutch. It is worth, even if we don't clutch, it is worth getting the exit picks. I just executed mechanically well here. And I also got opportunities because the enemy team did not think that they were under much danger, otherwise the Zen wouldn't let me get this close to him, but yeah. So a mistake from my tank, and then a mistake from me puts us in a situation where it's last fight now. Now we need to take space, only target available is D.Va, and we need to kind of clear this area, because I need my supports to be able to walk through, either on this side or on this side. And if we don't force this D.Va out, the D.Va just gets to assassinate our backline. So I need to contest Diva, right? I'm fighting for space, Genji is good for fighting for space. And now I see something. I see that the Genji committed on my Torb very aggressively. He is low and he is no dash, and I don't remember if he has deflect or not. But I see an opportunity. I'm gonna go for the kill, and in fact I'm even gonna blade to make sure that that I get the finish off, right? This also has the opportunity to... Wait, why is it saying that my encoder is overloaded? It shouldn't be. So if there's like... If Zen pops Transcendence because he hears the blade, I could very well get the blade kill because the Zen is too far from the Genji, and then the Transcendence does nothing, right? So this is a type of blade that's like really good. You get someone that's far away from the Zen with the blade, right? You use it to guarantee a pick, and then maybe bait the Transcendence out. So you don't just trade one out for one out, you trade it while getting value and denying enemy value, right? Oops, I'm on the wrong tab. So get the Genji, we force Transcendence because I get to slice a bunch of the Diva. So now we are at a decent shape. We were worst out economy. Now because of the tactic I spotted, we're at decent chances here. They do find a pick, but now I'm trying to walk towards the backline. Something needs to happen, and I don't have much time, unfortunately, because despite everything, their positions are a little overwhelming, and my Orisa just tanked too much damage. So we are gonna lose this. My Orisa even blows up here. I think my Orisa was trying to walk up to Terra Surge. So I just need to make something happen. I look to get a kill on the Zen. Unfortunate fail, but yeah. If that doesn't work, right, and I don't have that much time to like set up better, like my setup is even fine, right? I have both cooldowns. I can dash the Zen and get him low, and then it's just mechanics at that point. Like there isn't really a better setup that I can do, because like how long would it take for me to do a flank like this so that I'm behind him? I don't have this time to afford. So the approach that I had was very, very good. So yeah. Unfortunately, it's not that like my tank mistake at the very first fight cost us the first points. It's that my mistake after that, right? So the second mistake that costs a fight now puts us in a situation where it's basically impossible for us to recover because of positioning, because of alt economy, right? So we tried to claw our way back, but it already accumulated. So now we reset, right? Ultimates have been traded. We now are at a better situation alt economy wise compared to the enemy team. We now have also reset point possession. So no team has like an inherent space advantage here. Although I say that, but we have Juno, they don't. So we have better speed, and most importantly, the enemy team was too focused on trying to take space around the points and focused too little on how dangerous it was for the Zen to be on rotation. Zen is a character that wants to be stationary. He wants to be a third in the back, applying insane pressure. Zen sucks during rotations because he doesn't have mobility cooldowns, he doesn't really have tools to defend himself, right? So that's a moment where the enemy team needed to pay more attention, and they weren't, right? So I was planning to do this alone, but my whole team just decided to flank and just destroy the Zen, so hey, there is that. And now we can kind of trail behind them. So now we're flipping the map, the visor try to clutch, I react with deflect because I don't want to lose too much HP. My Orisa pushes, this gives us the opportunity to push. This dash would be bad if our team didn't have so much presence. And by presence what I mean is they are 2 down, my Orisa is taking most aggro, so if the Genji tries to kill me, my team can just all focus on the Genji, heal me, and then the Genji dies. He cannot commit, right? The odds are too stacked in my favor for him to be able to fight back, essentially. Also, let me just check one thing. Is the stream lagging for anyone? For some reason I'm seeing like my OBS, like It's not showing any dropped frames, but like the frame rate on my OBS seems low, as if I was lagging. So if something happens, let me know. Also for the Twitch viewers, I don't have alerts on my OBS, so if something happens, also do let me know in chat. But yeah, not that much to talk about this fight after the Zen kill. Honestly, they were in a bad spot. They tried to fight in a position where they couldn't really, right? Our Orisa had already closed the gap too much in the soldier for him to pop visor. He didn't have a good angle, so it was just clean up. Here I'm just gonna be doing some poking. And now what I have to think about is what exactly am I gonna do? I would like, right? Something that people will often think about is, oh, Genji, Zen, right? I wanna go on the Zen. But the enemy team is gonna make it hard for the Zen to get caught. Or at least hopefully they will do this time, right? Hopefully the D.Va actually protects the Zen and doesn't leave him as a free kill, right? So me setting up on the Zen is not as easy as it seems. And right now, it's a little bit too early. Especially because my tank is not aggressively holding a corner, right? My tank is kind of sneaking for a kill. So we're kind of baiting them in and trying to get an assassination off. So if I were to set up further forward, they would be able to apply a lot of pressure on me, force cooldowns early, and I wouldn't be able to really dive the Zen because I would be kind of solo diving. The Zen would have backup, right? Backup, etc., right? It's the same reason why the Genji couldn't push me at that 5v3, right? I can't push him here. If this was a fight on point, for example, much more likely because then we're a state of the fight where it's much more committed. But right now, where it's early and we have a default advantage from controlling better space, no real reason to commit. So since they don't make any mistakes main, and I also hear the soldier rotating, I choose to mark the angle. And you can immediately see the value of this, right? Look at soldier's POV. He tries to take an angle, right? This would be great. If he wasn't marked, he could, let's say, deepen the angle, find sightlines on our backline, right? Maybe look to kill our Juno, stuff like that. But I'm not gonna let that happen, right? I'm gonna go here and be like, hey, try to walk forward, I'll dash you, right? So he just decides to leave the angle and he goes back main, where he has much worse sidelines. So I just got an insane amount of value by doing nothing, or by doing essentially nothing, right? And this is what a lot of Genji players don't see in the game. They only see the mechanics, right? They don't see the tactics, right? I'm controlling a very important part of the map here, right? So if you think about the ways that the enemy team can approach, ignoring a complete flip around the map to walk through our side, right? They have main, they have this little flank, and they have this other little flank. And I marked this one. My tank is marking this one. So essentially, this is the only safe area, right? Ideally, we have someone like the Torb, let's say on a long sideline, shooting and marking this, so that no matter where they rotate, it's painful, right? Now, one thing you might be spotting here is that the D.Va is going towards point. And this is a big mistake. Because the D.Va is a tank. And in 5v5, tanks are giga. Tanks need to be doing stuff. So my tank is going to be able to do a lot. My tank is going to be able to dive backline, assassinate, etc. Their D.Va is forcing point, which is not that scary, right? A lot of characters can actually brawl D.Va on point for a while, right? Brig with Juno support, even without. I can do it solo, etc. And I'm even going to do that, right? So my D.Va should be trying to maybe fight the Orisa, force the Orisa back, gain some space, fight on a flank with the soldier, try to earn the soldier this flank, right? Clear our angles, etc. But the D.Va is not doing anything. So, what I'm gonna do in this situation is I'm just gonna mark D.Va. And I'm just gonna trade evenly with a tank, because their tank is not doing anything. So this is good value for me. And in the meantime, my team is free to do stuff, such as my tank. My tank is making a play. They blade, but this blade is not well set up. The entire enemy team, look at this. Look at this from the... heck, I can even just like go back. Oops, I'm the wrong thing. Let me do this. It doesn't take... Wait, why are my things not working? This is so bugged. Hello? There we go. I don't know why my alt tabs weren't working. Why is the Torbolt bugged? There we go. So taking this bird's eye view, you don't even need to see ultimates from our team to be able to answer me about whether you think this blade is gonna work or not, right? Let's just draw circles around where the majority of each team is. And let's look at who is alone in the middle of the enemy team. Who is better suited for this? The Genji or the Orisa? This is a pretty straightforward question, right? It's the Orisa, right? It's not the Genji. The Genji can make something like this, but clearly this wasn't the intention of this Genji. The intention of this Genji was to get kills. Or if it wasn't, then this Genji needed to get out, and he failed, so he just dies, making a 1v4 play. He needed his team to take more space, right? He needs to try and slowly, oops, that's the wrong color. He needed to try and slowly clear some players. Why is this so small? And then try and slowly gain space to be able to set up a blade better. And then when his team has sidelines, the team can help the Genji on the blade. There should be less attention on him, etc. Right? Ideally, the D.Va is forcing a lot of attention. But instead, this Genji is allowing my Orisa to just like zone off his entire team and then create a situation where he needs to solo versus 4, which is just very unlikely to happen. And then my Orisa is built to live this. Genji can live plays like this, but not in the way that he played this situation. So he just melts. He just melts. And my Orisa ends up actually dying because they're too slow to actually help her, unfortunately. And also a little bit of misplay on my Orisa's part. The Orisa should not, like, if she doesn't get help, she shouldn't just die like this, right? She should be ending a cooldown cycle. Behind cover, for example, so that the enemy team has to push and then punish. So it was partially a misplay by our Orisa, but yeah. Overall, like in terms of what I was doing the correct things, right? I first marked the soldier flank, then I marked the D.Va point, and then I turned for the Genji because I'm close. I'm gonna try and deal some damage on him with dash, but only when I'm sure that I can land it and he's not gonna dodge it. And I'm gonna look like a fool. So my team just killed, so I don't need to go. Now I try to set up for the team. This deflect does that. Right now I'm controlling good space. While I exist here, the soldier gets a little bit scared because I can engage him, right? And I can contest. But that's only while I'm here. And also only while I have cooldowns. So I don't think I should have peeked that hard because I'm unlikely to go in for a kill. They have D.Va, they have Kiriko support, etc. I just need to live to make sure that if the soldier tries to push, then I can contest him and delay him, his push, so that my team can get value. But I went in too aggressively, and then this immediately allows the enemy team to push, right? There's now no one to contest the soldier, so now the soldier with the D.Va gets to kill the Juno, right? So a slight misplay there on my part. I had the right intention, I just didn't handle it perfectly. See the Zen, go for a pick, but Juno or Kiriko goes there. So now I quickly wall climb, and now I just made a quick little cooldown cycle, force resources to live. Good. And this actually allows my team to clutch. Interestingly enough, my team makes plays while the supports are distracted, which is great. Although, I say that and they're actually gonna get kept back. That's fine. They have numbers for now, we're gonna have numbers later because we have better spawns. So instead of dying points, I just back up. I was hoping that maybe my Orisa would be fast enough to touch points. Apparently not the case. But here we are. So now I'm trying to push through the angle, trying to potentially access backline. This is not the greatest path. This is where a little bit of map knowledge would help. Although in this case, I just didn't think all that hard, right? But like if I wanted to, let's say, reach these targets, right? Reach these targets, I needed to do a rotation like this, where I'm out of sight, I have good cover. This is too open, right? I'm gonna get shot down in this area because of all the long range characters that can see me. So right now I cannot dive. I can only kind of help my team fight for this corner, right? Help my tank try to force the D.Va out. So right now it is kind of neutral, I'm just waiting for things to happen, right? Waiting to farm ults, waiting to see if my team wants to push through, make a push, etc. Right? So I'm just gonna be holding the corner, and then whichever team wants to push is gonna be at a kind of a disadvantage because pushing is hard, right? The defenders have better ground, defenders have better covering, etc. So you have to spend some resources to push, which means that the pushes need to be well done. And in this case, throughout this whole little exchange, right, you can see the Genji tries to make a play, he's not gonna get something, right? And this is where a lot of like the difference between my play and other Genjis is very apparent, right? Yeah, I don't know why my OBS is getting overloaded here. You know what? I'm gonna close Chrome, because I think Chrome is what's killing my OBS performance. But yeah, here's essentially what where the difference between me and other Genjis is really apparent, right? Because mechanically, I'll look like I don't belong in this rank, unless I'm popping off, and even then, right? There's a reason why a lot of Master Genji players would think that they are better than me despite me being a whole rank or even more above them, right? And I've had comments like that in the past. But in this case, right? What is this Genji doing? Who is this Genji trying to engage on? Does he have a good setup for backline? He is maybe in dash distance, although not even that. It's a backline that has really good tools to deal with that. So it has to be a well set up engagement, right? So let's say that he was coming in from this little flank while on against an unaware backline. It still has a high likelihood of not working because the backline just pills for each other. It would get value, right? Force cooldowns, force attention, but it would it is unlikely to get a kill or something like that, right? So this setup, which is obvious at a bad range and requires the dash in, is terrible, absolutely terrible. And this is why I am in this position, not going in and doing the same thing. I'm just chilling in the corner because there's some value to be had in holding the corner and just shooting what's available. The Genji shooting your Orisa here, if you wanted, would not be a bad play. It wouldn't be sexy or anything like that, but it would be okay value. It forces healing to be spent from our team on the Orisa, right? It makes it harder for... That's a terrible heal sign. Let me just try a new one. A little bit prettier. Right? So it forces a little bit of healing. It potentially forces some Orisa cooldowns, depending on the situation, right? Also, most importantly, let's say that the soldier has an angle over here, so now our Orisa does not have cover that prevents damage from either DPS or from both DPS at the same time. So the Orisa is only gonna bleed out, probably gonna force cooldowns. Based on how the cooldown trades go, the Genji might be able to deepen the flank, right, deepen the angle and maybe reach backline, right, as the team gets to walk up. But that's not the case. We have not reached yet a situation where we can push in. We just need to see how the resource traders go, right? See who hits more shots and who uses better angles, in which case right now it's kind of even. But we don't want to wait because we are a bloodthirsty Genji main. So we're gonna just go in. And we're gonna get a whole lot of zero value because we just dash in, immediately got forced out, right? And now we're down cooldowns. That's all we did, right? That's it. We basically didn't do anything. Heck, we cost our team Suzu because our team was scared that we were going to die here, right? So not good. Also, I closed Chrome, but my OBS is still freaking out. What the hell is happening? Chat, can someone tell me if like the stream is lagging or anything like that? The stream really shouldn't be doing anything wrong. There is no reason for there to theoretically be messages in my OBS that my encoder is overloaded. Let me quickly check actually. Yeah, there is theoretically no reason. Like I'm well under memory budgets for my PC. So it should all be good. But yeah. So we just bring our cooldowns, and now what this does is not just does it lose us, not only does it put us under some unnecessary danger and doesn't give us that much value, it also prevents us from making a play while we're down cooldowns. Because now we need to be a little bit more passive. We cannot aggressively push the other Genji here, in this case, to try and take some space, because we're down cooldowns, right? And the enemy Genji isn't, right? And if we see an opportunity, let's say our diva dives in or someone gets low, we don't have dash to follow up. So it made a good play, or made a bad play, and now we can't follow up on good plays anymore in the future because we wasted our cooldowns and not for a good return, right? So that's a bad opportunity cost. Meanwhile, I'm chilling in my corner because I don't really have much to do right now, and I don't really want to spend the time hard flanking. So now that the enemy Genji can't do anything and didn't get anything, in the meantime, look at what I can do. I can force the diva that now spent cooldowns and didn't really get anything in return and look for a kill. And now my Brig also notices that and uses rally and makes a very proactive play, and we get the D-Mech off it. So now we're gaining space and they're losing space, and this ult trade is going well for us. So something that small, right, about like me handling my cooldowns properly, considering the angle and the opportunities that I had available, versus the enemy Genji, right, gives our team an advantage in the trade, which causes Diva to lose bomb, and also causes us to gain some space to be able to push, create more meaningful angles, create more meaningful setups to get kills in the end, right? So this is where I am one of the best at Genji, right? It's not mechanically, right? It's about this type of stuff. So, for example, on my game against Advocates, I was making damn sure that I wasn't judging myself for underperforming mechanically compared to him. I believe he ended the game with like 3k more damage than me. I don't care. That's his thing, not mine, right? Meanwhile, he made a lot more dumb mistakes than I did. That's my thing, right? I avoid those plays. I'm much smarter, right? So I judge myself by that, and by that metric, I handle things well. And while I wasn't the carry that match, it is a match that it's hard to be a Genji, hard to be a carry because it's Circuit Row, playing Genji, also into ball, right? So that makes it even harder, right? And yet I made enough plays, enough smart plays that, for example, I clutched their hold on second points. I clutched our attack a few times, especially at the ends, which got us the edge over the enemy team and allowed us to win, right? So while Advocates did make plays, right, I also made plays. It's just different types of plays, but they have the same result overall, right? Which is where the player gets impact, right? So it's just a matter of which player got more impact. So it's important to judge in terms of like what your qualities are rather than judging someone else's quality where they're better than you and your qualities which are not that good, right? Anyways. So now look at this. Look at this. Oh boy. This is the stuff I like to see. We are winning a fight and I didn't do anything mechanically flashy. Right? It's just, look at the space. Look at the space, right? Look at the angles that we have versus the enemy team space and the enemy team angles, right? They have like this. It's just like, they don't have anything, right? At this point, you can just surround them and just eventually get close enough and execute, which is what we're gonna do. It's not gonna require anything flashy because we just set ourselves up very well, right? So now just the mere threat of me walking up, look at this, just the mere threat of me walking up is enough to force Diva to just like spend her cooldown cycle here, and it doesn't even get anything, right? I'm trading attention with the enemy tank, or trading resources with the enemy tank, and getting good damage trade as well, and that's it, right? Like, I didn't have to do anything mechanically fancy to achieve that. I just had to outsmart the enemy team, right? Take better positions, handle my cooldowns better, right? And then that forces the enemy team to slowly bleed out, right? And now they're trying to manage, right? They're trying to punch out, but they don't have what it takes, right? I'm trying to take space, D.Va pushes me, I deflect, right? And then slowly the gap gets closed on the soldier and he eventually dies. Now the Kiriko dies because the wrist is creeping on the left, right? So it's just like a very chill cleanup, right? Let's just watch this fight once again, right? Again, it does not seem like I'm doing anything all that fancy, and frankly speaking, I didn't actually do anything all that fancy. It was just that the enemy team wasn't as disciplined as I was, right? But it's still interesting to think that I made a play here when it doesn't seem like I made a play, right? And I made play by not throwing, essentially, just like the enemy Genji did, right? Making a bad push, right? And by the way, the enemy team Kitsune rushed in this fight. That's also another thing. The enemy team Kitsune rushed and they're losing. That's the funny part. Oh yeah, throughout this whole exchange I was thinking about Blade. But I was wondering when I could. If I try to Blade now, there's gonna be too much attention on me, I'm gonna blow up. I also don't have a good setup, good enough setup yet. So I'm thinking, okay, do we even need? We have really good positions, we should be able to clean up. If things start to go badly, maybe I'll Blade. But for now, right now, no need, no need, no need. And I still don't think that I even could, right? Because I would just blow up if I Blade, right? I would be stunning myself, I wouldn't be able to deflect this D.Va push, for example. Okay. So now we save Blade and we win the fight.
That is enough from you. Garden. Next flashpoint.
It's actually, like, if I was reviewing this on my own, I would be able to do this much faster. And also probably I wouldn't be going on tangents talking about just like game theory in general. I just like talking about this game too much. That's why that's why I coach, right? Because I enjoy thinking about the game, right? Analyzing the game. So yeah, this is turning out to not be all that amazing for me because I'm not being all that time efficient, but I want to make content as well, so I might as well, right? Get some good educational content. And yeah, here you can see a really quick idea right off the bat. We're rotating to the new point, right? I spot the entire enemy team. This is not a great approach. And most importantly, here I have an option for a short flank that I can use. Whereas on the other points, I didn't really. So instead of sticking main and just waiting, now I have some options for plays that I can make. So I'm gonna actually walk around, and try to reach backlane. And here I thought that they didn't have Transcendence, so I was trying to Blade before they had it. I see the Genji, so I slow down. I'm gonna go for it a little bit later. Still a little bit scary here, but to go for this. Although I have resources to play around it. The approach was good, I closed the gap properly. The soldier and the D.Va are not here, so the Genji was also not at a great range. So it would mainly be Curie and Zen damage, which I should be able to outplay with dash and deflect. So this play is reasonable. Ended up just baiting Transcendence, which I don't like. I wish I was able to go for the kill. But I can't. I can't because apparently they already farmed another Transcendence. But yeah. So they push with it, my team is dealing with that, I'm getting out. Soldier finds a flank, and again, here we can see the value that I was getting at the start of the second point, right? Let's look at the soldier's POV. Let's look at how contested he is on this angle. Right, he takes one shot from the Torb, but otherwise he's just like uncontested here, right? He can just stay here, shoot, and nobody's threatening him, right? So, this is where the Genji value comes in, right? Because in this play I decided to make a play on the backline, I allowed the soldier to flank, and the soldier got value from the flank, right? So, if I was, let's say, marking the soldier, then my Torb never dies, right? Because the soldier cannot use this angle, because I just threaten and beat the soldier in close range. So he needs to either be more conservative or beat me in the duel to force me out to earn the angle, right? Stuff like that. Let me just check one thing here real quick. I'm gonna need to grab more water soonish. Yeah, what up, VTEX? Okay, I'm gonna get water real soon. Okay. First Transcendence, then go for a place that's away from the action, right? Especially away from the healing, to see if I can catch someone. Find the soldier, animation cancel on the wall. So let me just go back real quick. Because otherwise I'm just stunned for a second. And this second is very important. Very, very important. Because if I don't cancel this, he can shoot me for a long time. And I can't deflect. And also I cannot shoot him back. So despite me starting this duel at a health advantage, I would be at a decent chance of losing. Because high level soldier will just laser me. But I canceled animation. So then I'm free to deflect, I'm free to shoot, so I can clean it up. And then my team just does their job better, or just does the job well. And probably because, I mean, one, we committed Terra Surge, but also my engagement here forced resources, right? Forced Suzu, forced the Transcendence, right? So there's less cooldowns, there's less damage pressure, there's also the distraction that I'm causing for my team to walk up, so I enabled my team to take a better fight there, even if I ended up leaving or not getting much value myself directly. Now I'm just... Yo, what up, Daniel? Now this is interesting, because not knowing the map as well makes me unsure whether or not this is like a good angle to play. But this is especially valuable because of the information that it gives me. Where are the enemy's team going towards, right? They're going towards main right now. I now decide, do I want to hang on this angle? And then maybe as the enemy team pushes, right? I try and hit them from behind, just like Marissa's doing from this angle. Marissa's hard flanking, which is funny. It's a good play. So, do I do this? I decided against this, I believe, because this is too far, right? The sideline is too long. It's not a short flank, right? A good short flank would be, whoops, where is this? A good short flank would be something like this, right? Where I can transition from, let's say, main to boom, backline, right? Or let's say transition from poking main to boom, backline, right? Stuff like that. Or even here, right? Which I was threatening earlier, right? Go main, okay, hit a quick short flank, and then achieve close range, only pick them at close range, which is where Genji wants to fight. So yeah, I end up backing up because I didn't like that flank, right? So now this gives the enemy team a little bit of space, they visor for a little bit of space, so I need to wait a bit. And Genji once again goes too far, and let's watch the enemy Genji's POV. They're winning some good space. I mean, this is like silly to just die to the turret like this, and this is not a terrible play by the Genji, but like there is no reason to do anything this harsh, right? Unlikely to get kills on the backline because the backline was too far to begin with. So what do we need to do? Well, our soldier just visored, and not just that, like the visor pressure on top of our team just like taking space that is free, that doesn't have people contesting, right? The Orisa and the Genji were flanking, and to a certain extent still are, so this whole area of the map is free. So now the enemy team, what they need to do, just like we did on the second point, right? Slowly choke the enemy team in, right? The Genji should be taking this long approach. Not because it sets him up perfectly, at least not yet, but because it takes away space, right? So the enemy team controls this area, the enemy team controls this area, and then the support should be able to control this area soonish, right? And then our team is slowly going to be pushed towards this, and then we're going to be stuck on a very small box where the enemy team can just shoot us from all directions and we die. That's what we saw at the end of second points, right? Which is what I did to the enemy. But the enemy Genji did not see this tactic. So the enemy Genji just decided to look too much for a kill, when there is no reason to really push yet, right? This is not a particularly good push. If it was closer, yes, sure, maybe. But at that distance, just take space. And in my case, right, I'm just chilling, waiting out the visor, and then once I have the opportunity, I'll actually look to do something, right? So now that people stopped looking, I can push back out, and I can even challenge the soldier. It is very unfortunate here. I don't think that this play is amazing for me. I don't think it's a terrible read for me to go on the soldier. He's not full HP. I can just force him back. I just think that my approach was bad. To be fair, I wasn't expecting the D.Va, but I really should have. But here, it's the same thing. I don't need to make a harsh push. We're winning the game already because we now got better space. Their push didn't work. The Genji died. And now they are stuck in bad spots without enough presence to hold the positions. So you can see that like the D.Va has already bled a bunch of HP, while our risk is fine, stuff like that, right? And we're gaining control of the points. So here, all I need to do is just chill. Slowly walk up to the soldier, threaten him, force him out of the angle, and then keep my cooldown so that if D.Va pushes me, I can live. Instead, I make this push on the soldier looking for a kill, and then this causes me to just like eventually get isolated and killed. So, my mistake, I should not have dashed, but also, I'm really sad that my Brig tried to help me. Because even with my death here, it is okay because there is still an ongoing fight. And the enemy team spending, right, I'm contesting a soldier, the D.Va was spent chasing me, the Kiriko even TP'd, although even if the Kiriko doesn't TP, they're still fine, right? Assuming my Brig is with the team, and not doing anything silly like this, we just kill BAP, we trade me, and we're controlling good space. So even then, it's not that bad of a play because it's well timed, right? But yeah, my Brig, I believe, just dies here, and then yeah, we do eventually get the BAP I talked about, so there is no reason for my Brig to just like crash out here and look for a play here, and then we just burn both support ults, and then we lose because we trickled in, and like my stupidity was okay. Stacking more stupidity on top of that, no. But yeah, give me just 1 second. I need more water, chat. Okay, chat. For those that have been watching for a while, I want you to quickly tell me, what is like the main takeaway from this VOD review so far? And not for me, just like in general. I've kind of just like moved away from my objective, which is just to VOD review me. Which I'm still to a certain extent doing, just not all that focused, right? And not all that time effective. But like, what has been the main takeaway on this VOD review so far? What have been like the things that have basically caused teams to like lose fights or win fights? Doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. I just want you guys to think a little bit. You're late, so I can't answer. It's fine. What about the YouTube chats? Are you all lurkers? Okay. Now that I've drank some water, guess I'll just talk about it then. Oh, there you go. The positioning? Yes. What exactly about the positioning? Because it is about positioning. And there are a bunch of ways that this question can be answered. Because positioning is absolutely like crucial. Absolutely crucial here. And has been playing a big part in like who wins fights and who loses. Some people were alone, yes. But those are more of like overall mistakes. Even if you ignore like the alone, right? Like I just dash in and then I isolate myself and let myself get killed by the diva push and stuff like that, right? Like as I talked about, at that situation it's still fine because I'm drawing so much aggro and my team can just trade the BAP, right? But like if you think about fights where people weren't alone, but one team just like clearly wins and has such a massive advantage despite not hitting any crazy shots or anything, right? Like what about the positioning is causing such a big difference, right? Is causing one team to be so much better than the other, right? So much better, like have such better odds on the fight, right? Because that's what's very important to think about. Positioning in and of itself, right, is not much, right? We need to think about what positioning and positioning in relation to other things, right, causes. So if I think about it, a lot of the fights, and I talked about this on this point, I talked about this on the second point, right? Let me actually go back to this fight. Yeah. Let's look at the overall heat maps. Let's think about how much space we have and how much space the enemy team has. And most importantly, what space each team has, right? So right now it's kind of like 50-50, where we control the bottom and they control the top, right? Let's look at how this changes in 10 seconds.
Nerf this!
Right? So, oops, where's my pen? So now they kind of have this area, and now we have this area. What is the like tangible, right? Like we know we have more space, but what is this space allowing us to do, right? What is our positioning causing, right? That's what I'm trying to get at. Why did the Zen die here? Why do we know that the soldier is gonna die really soon? And then after that, after cooldowns have been burned, Kiriko and Genji are gonna die. Maybe the diva could get out alive. Blocked in on one area, yeah. That's one way to think about it, right? A slightly better way to describe this, because it doesn't always have to be like blocking someone in an area, right? Although it can be. It's basically that positioning, right, and space, right? We can translate this extra space into better setups, right? That's basically it. Effective pressure applied from multiple angles. Yes. So because we won cooldown trades and we were able to push and take space while the enemy team was forced back, right? Even if they're not forced against the wall here, I now have access to the backline easier because I can use this flank. This flank is uncontested. My Orisa has an easier time accessing backline and getting value, such as javelin spear the Zen into a wall and kill, right? Why? Because we have the space and we are translating that space, right, into actual tangible value, right? The damage, the kills. So we need to think about, for example, what Genji wants, right? Like what range does Genji want to play? Heck, you could even look into Orisa, right? If the Orisa wants a kill, the Orisa probably needs to have a relevant sightline on a target. So if we don't have that much space, we have less options from which to use to find a kill. Because we have more space, we can actually push here and get the Zen kill. Because if we didn't have the space, right, if this was contested, then we would be chilling here and we wouldn't see a kill on the Zen. But because we do have, we see a kill on the Zen. Here, I see a path for an eventual kill on the soldier. But if they control this area, if the D.Va pushes me, if the Genji pushes me, and you can even see this approach here, right, where I'm gonna try, but the D.Va is gonna say no, right? Again, this is why this is important, right? If I don't have the space, I'm not gonna reach the soldier, I'm not gonna be able to get the kill. But with the space, right, and we saw that from the Orisa, we can get the kill because we can set ourselves up better. We see more things, we see more opportunities, right? So overall, the team that has done a better job controlling space, right, has just simply been able to translate that into more tangible ideas like damage and kills. And this is why the setup matters so much, right? Which paths are we going to take, right? When? Genji players are notorious for not really knowing how to position very well. So they will dash in, because dash is a mobility cone and it can get them close. But then, what if it doesn't work, right? Sometimes dash engaging is good, sometimes it is bad. We must know how to do both, right? But too many Genji players only know how to engage with dash, they don't know how to engage by walking through a flank. So in this case, I'm thinking, do I go main? Do I go through the flank, right? What space do I want to clear? Because that's the first thing, right? It doesn't matter how good my mechanics are, right? Let's say I'm aimbotting right now. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna get a kill at this distance because I'm a projectile right now, right? So the aimbot doesn't matter, right? So, so in this case, right now the first objective, right, is to set up, right? What exactly is a setup? It depends on the character, right? But for example, if you think about a Genji, Genji wants to be close. So what would be an appropriate setup for him to go in the backline? Would it be to walk main here into the open and then dash, or would it be to, let's say, walk through a flank where he's uncontested, there's cover, and then he can get to the backline without a dash, right? Think about a Widowmaker. What sidelines does Widowmaker want to play? Close, long, right? What would a Widowmaker setup be? So for example, in this case, the Genji probably either wants to take this long flank and eventually reach backline this way, this would be a Genji setup, or probably flank this way and eventually set up like this. The Widow would want to find a long sideline, so the Widow would ideally set up, let's say, here. Now don't worry, you can answer. I appreciate you playing along. That's part of why I'm doing this, right? So the Widowmaker would not want to walk here, right? The Widowmaker would want to be here to shoot the D.Va. Or if this area of the map is free, the Widow would like to go here and take these long sidelines to be able to shoot the enemy team, right? That's what the Widowmaker does. So this would be a setup for the Widow, but not for the Genji, right? It's all about setting yourself up for success. What does your character want to do? What does your character excel at? So in this case, I'm thinking about how to close the gap. This point seems rough for Genji? Depends. This area is great for Genji. And close, lots of short sidelines, right? Short little flanks. So this is good. This area, much more open. This approach from me, we don't even need to see the outcome to see that this is not a great idea, right? Like this wasn't a great approach from me. Why? Because I'm approaching a sideline that the enemy team is better at, right? I get outpoked by Kiri, I get outpoked by Bap, I get outpoked by Sojourn, right? This is not good. I need to either be going towards the left side, like we talked about, or going hard right. And in this case, it's not so much because this sets me up well, it's more so that I threaten the soldier to take away this space from you. Yeah, it is bad. Because I'm still stranded. It cost me my dash, doesn't even get me close enough. And now I burn deflect, right? I get bailed out because my team actually pushes. If my Orisa doesn't do this, I'm dead. I'm dead. My Orisa is my hero right now. My Orisa is hard tanking for me. even if it doesn't seem like it, because these characters could snipe me from range. And because of my Orisa pushing, my team now gets enabled to walk, right? Because now there are no more threats. Let me do this, right? So my Orisa walks, distracts here, right? Causes a distraction. So now my team can walk because now this is not contested space anymore. There are no more enemies shooting this area, right? I'm contesting this angle, my Orisa is contesting here. So if this was, let's say, a timed push where we calmed this, right? Communicated, this would be okay because I contest the soldier, I live, I enable my team to walk. This allows the Brig and the Juno to pocket, right? The angles, right? My Brig can come in, pocket, pack me, and then I can actually duel the soldier up close, etc. And then my Torb gets sidelines to shoot whatever angle he wants to support, etc. But in terms of my setup individually, not all that amazing. I end up reaching my destination and I end up being okay because with deflect and a little bit of cover usage, I lived long enough for my team to push. But this wasn't great, right? I did not have as much agency over this as I wanted to, right? Like if my Brig doesn't push, I'm dead, and I don't like that. I could make this push without requiring my Brig if I take a better path, right? Or if I don't contest here, right? I could have reached this backline without taking damage, right? Because I just go here. Enclose and close and close, no one can see me, nobody wants to fight me up close other than the Diva, and the Diva I have leaf like for, and then boom, backline. I can reach here without even using dash. So if things go poorly, I dash out, right, etc. That would have been a good approach. Yeah. It ends up costing a lot. We end up just winning the overall brawl, let's say, the chaotic fight. Mainly because my Orisa took such a good cooldown trade. Oops. Mainly because my Orisa took such a good cooldown trade here. So my Orisa solo forced the Diva, Sojourn, and Bap attention, which is a disproportionate trade, right? Allowing our team to just like 4v2 this angle or take space or whatever, right? And now that our team has been allowed to take more space, right? We can translate that space. Look at this. Look at the Torb, right? If we don't have space, the Torb can't do this. But because we have space, my Torb can just walk into the backline and do this, right? If the Diva is contesting this area, they can't do this, right? But the Diva isn't, right? So my Torb is just allowed to do this. How did the Orisa do it? I'm pretty sure my Orisa just presses W. She uses cover, gets close, and now that she's a character that's much better up close than these characters, she takes a really good trade. Sojourn is forced to dash out, Bap walks back, they burn the shields, now 45 with shield is being down, ult for more damage resistance to catch the carry. We now shield the soldier damage off, right? Orisa is a monster when it comes to research trades against most characters. There are characters that can do it, like if we take annoying angles against the Orisa, right? Like let's say that instead of getting caught up close against the Orisa, this Sojourn is here, the Orisa can touch the Sojourn, and then the Sojourn just slowly wears down the Orisa. But because the Orisa was allowed to get close without losing too many resources, then she gets an incredible trade, right? Gets insane value. So, try to set your character up for success at good ranges. If your team takes a bad cooldown trade, back up, reset, try again, right? Take another fight, see how it goes. If you take a proper cooldown trade, right, a good one, deal more damage, etc., then you're gonna be able to win some space, and then with that space you can translate that into better setups, and the better setups will enable kills, right? That's just the game of Overwatch, right? For example, with Spylo talks about like how this game is basically just map control and timing, right? And basically that's what we have been seeing here, right? Team that controls better space, team that times things better, does well. Enemy team here controls a little bit more space than us and got here first, right? Windows. So now we wait. I can close the gap here, but this would be bad timing because they're watching, they have a window, etc. So I'm not gonna push. I'm gonna wait either for my team to distract, right, which they're doing right now, which allows me to peek, right, and in this case I can go for a quick dash through, force cooldowns, right, or in this case, right, they're just getting kills and they're doing the thing that I talked about, right, they're taking better cooldown trades than us, and that's enabling kills, right, they have better position, so they see more, they hit more shots, so they actually get the kills rather than just forcing cooldowns, etc. But for example, something that I could have also done is walk through here and flank them up close, right? That was an option all this time. I just would need to time it properly. But that was a good game to set up, right? There was more on the enemy team playing well and my team slightly misplaying, right? Nothing on me. Oh yeah, here I just blow up. I was not expecting this much D.Va damage. It's unfortunate. I had 2 seconds, 1 second on deflect. Now we have less space than the enemy team, so we're gonna have to use cooldowns to push up, try to take space. Once I have some space, we trade, see how well it goes, try to take more space, try to set up, and eventually reach the destination, which is potentially killing. In this case, I'm kind of gonna cheat the system, because rather than doing this slow process that I talked about, despite not having the greatest space, we have enough space because the enemy team is stacked, right? There's nobody controlling the sideline. So despite the enemy team being the defenders where they should have an advantage space-wise, our team is actually taking better space than an enemy, which shouldn't be the case. We have people here, we have our right main, we have people on the angle, we have our Orisa on a whole other angle, and the enemy team, which has all the space in the world because they won the fight, they could set up however they want, did not control this angle, did not control this angle. So now we can actually go in because we have a good enough setup. And I have a power spike which allows me to take this fight and have it be reasonable despite not having as good of a setup as I normally would require, because again I have this extra power to offset it, so I can blade and make this work, right? I can thread in kills immediately rather than having to force slam first and then thread in a kill. I can just do both at the same time, although I miss my swings and fail the kill. But yeah, we did a better job with space, we also pressed a few Qs, and we win. We had better space than them did. And not just that, again, better space, the enemy team, these players are not relevant, they can't see anything. We can see something, so we D-Mac. This BAP doesn't have space, he cannot heal the D.Va. And my Orisa is making a great play, she's using the space to reach the BAP and go for a kill, right? Same story. Do I have the capacity to go pro? Yes. I don't know if, when was like the moment, like the tipping point where I had the accumulated experience to potentially go pro, but now I can say for sure because like I've been confidently pushing into champ, and champ is like a very small amount of the players, like essentially like 30-50 players get champ, right? And most of them are pros, right? To be champ, you're either pro or you have pro level, essentially. So me basically pushing champ essentially means that yes, I'm pro level. And I'm high pro level, right? Like, because we have pro teams that are masters, for example, right? But the top of Overwatch CS, right? The Overwatch Championship Series is essentially just like champion players, right? And I'm basically champ. And not just on one account, on two, right? My main is GM2 right now, this one is one off GM1, and I'm gonna push both to champ ideally. I'm not interested in pro, but I have played this game for long enough, and I've grinded with enough intentionality in my practice and everything that if I wanted to, I could have gone pro, yes. I'm just not interested in doing it, or at least not right now. Maybe I'll do it at some points. I'll probably do it more for fun and content than actually do it seriously. Because the thing about going pro is that you need to spend so much time that you have to sacrifice other things in your life, and I don't want to do that. I have other interests and so I don't want to just grind this game 8 to 10 hours a day and just not be able to do all that much else in my life, right? I want to make educational content like I'm making right now. I want to teach other people. I want to do other fun activities, right? I like calisthenics. I want to get into gymnastics. I want to hang out with friends and etc. Right? So Playing pro can certainly be interesting, but honestly, I can basically play pro without being a pro. I can just play high rank lobbies, and to me that's good enough for right now. Maybe my interests will change and whatnot, but I don't really see it, honestly. I don't really see it. Especially when I enjoy making content as much as I do.
This ends now.
Yeah. This Sojourn, let's look at the space that she has, and let's look at how good this ult is. Everyone has good cover. She doesn't really have all that, very many sidelines. Like, look at how terrible this ult is, right? It's very easy to tell that this is a terrible ult, because she sees nothing. She doesn't have options for good angles. We know this ult is gonna suck.
This
If, let's say, the
now.
Sojourn was here, or here, right? Let's say that I don't exist here, I'm not contesting Zago. Now we see stuff, now we can kill the Torb, now we can trend backline, etc. But we don't have space. So I have failed the first step. This Sojourn node sucks. Now, I will see this, and as a character that can fight for space very well, I will fight it. But I shouldn't have. I misplayed here because I didn't have deflect. If I have deflect, this is fine. I distract her, I deal some damage, I force resources, but I didn't need to do this. She had such a bad ult because she didn't have space that we could all hide behind corners and she gets 0 value out of the ult. So yeah, this was a big misplay by me. And it doesn't take a genius to notice. Now I have space, right now I'm scouting. Where are they going? If they're going this way, I want to set up maybe on a short sideline like here, like on this corner, on this corner, right? Or maybe I want to walk around a little bit this way. If they're going this way, I need to set up for this rotation. So maybe I walk around this corner, maybe I hold this corner for a little flank, right? So I'm using scouting. D.Va pushes, I fight, Bap walks close range for some reason, so immediately the close range characters, right, or Rissa, Genji just completely gobble that backline, destroy, and then at that point it's just clean up. Not that much to talk about. But yeah, some silly mistakes, not that much honestly. The enemy team did not do a perfect job fighting for space. Like there was a very big difference when it came to, where is it? There was a very big difference when it came to the Genjis, right? Which are the DPS that mainly play for space and fight for space. I did an infinitely better job in this, even if it wasn't perfect. So our team just had a default massive advantage because there was no insane difference in other situations. I would argue that yes, there was, our Orisa I think played slightly better than the D.Va. But in terms of the backlines did fine, right? It's just their stats are gonna look worse because we had better space than they did. So we had more options to kill the backline than they did. So their backline died more than ours did, right? So yeah, I would say analyzing this, the major players here were these two. In that we for most of the time did a really good job controlling space, taking space, etc. That set the rest of the team up for success. It's a great thing that the rest of the team did well, right? We saw the Torb take a little flank and then get a really quick 2k, and then eventually 3k on the D.Va as well. But this was set up by these, right? So that's the interesting part, right? People don't often understand the value that I get, how I'm this rank, because most people don't have these eyes, right? They don't have this understanding of the game that allows them to see the less concrete value, right? The not intangible, the abstract value of just fighting for space, preventing the soldier from flanking, slowly choking the enemy team in, right? So that they eventually have nowhere to run, or just getting better setups than they do. So you have better options available, right? They have less chances for kills, you have more, etc. Any finishing questions? I talked a lot, so I don't think I can do more. Drank 2 full bottles of water. I wouldn't be like, I mean, yes, from what I talked about, I perform better. I just don't really find it all that useful to be like, oh, Genji diff, Genji diff. I think that this culture overall is very toxic, and not just because like the loser, right, feels bad, but is it all that great for the winner anyway? What will happen when the winner actually has a bad day? Does this culture creates a pressure around you to perform and never get diffed, which is gonna happen, right? Even to the best players, right? So I think it is kind of a toxic culture that doesn't really have any winners. I don't really see much value in this. I've never really liked it. Yeah, no, I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. I'm just saying that, like, I personally, for example, I don't type this. I try not to engage with this type of stuff. And within my community, I like mentioning this and my reasoning for it, so that if people agree with me, they can also potentially stop using these terms, and then maybe this starts like a chain effect, right? I'm gonna be doing my impact in my little community. That's all I know. Yeah. Broken down shuriken mechanics. You mean, if you mean like a video teaching how you how to practice? I mean, let me go like into practice range. Like, they mean, how do I practice tracking? How do I practice flicking, etc.? What aim techniques Genji uses, that kind of stuff. I'm gonna make an updated video on this, now that I have more game knowledge overall. One of the techniques I really enjoy are like place shots, which are very common for snipers because of like their high bursts of damage, right? Where you, instead of like, let's say, tracking, right? We all know the tracking, we all know the flicks, right? But a place shot is where you just place the shots, and once the target actually goes, you shoot, right? So the reason why this is very useful for a character like Genji is, again, because he has a slower fire rate, and he has a that is way behind. Because he has a high burst of damage combined to that. So if you're in a duel and maybe, let's say, you don't want to rely on a flicker, or you can't really track as well, right? There are opportunities, right? There are videos when I talked about flick shots. One of them that does a really good job explaining like a common situation to apply place shots is my smartest Genji play, I believe, video. It's one where I deflect, I 180 deflect a high noon on Colosseo. It's the one that's what's the word? Like, if you go into my channel page, it's the video that I've pinned there, and that auto plays when you go into my page. So towards the end, there's gonna be like a really good example of like when you apply a place shot. Right? Like, if I have read that my opponent's gonna move this way, I can just place it there, right? And then just shoot and just do like a timing, right? It's just a timing challenge. I remove the mechanical challenge of a place of the shot by making it a timing challenge instead, because my opponent will walk into it. It's just a matter of when, right? So you need to know when to apply the technique, because you can't just like sit there not doing damage forever. But yeah. I don't think it's on Ana. I used the Ana to manipulate the Cassidy's thought process into shooting so that I could kill him. And I did that by not killing his Ana. Yeah. What up, NS? Do you think you can improve, and how? I mean, yes. And in fact, I'm always doing it, right? Part of the reason why I did this stream, right? Is so that I can look back on my replay, check what I'm doing right, check what I'm doing wrong, see if there's any trends and things that I need to focus on, right? Like on that game, I made a few. I was a little bit too bloodthirsty at times. Like, that was the main thing. I don't think that I am in general, so I don't think I have to do like any specific practice there. It was just like good to analyze, but like if I start noticing that I'm making this same mistake in other matches and repeatedly, then then I can look to work on that, right? Stop myself, right? Think during matches to only commit when I think it is worth it, right? Game sense wise, like I think it makes sense to make that engagement, I have the cooldowns to make it, or the risk is worth it, etc. Because in those situations the risk wasn't worth it, right? Etc. It depends. It depends on what exactly you're doing. Like if you're working on, let's say that you're working on something small. Let's go, I'm actually gonna give an example for this. Let's say that I'm working on my dash usage. Let's just go into the browser, which is a VOD that I haven't watched here. Let's go into my POV. And let's look at our dashes. Unfortunately, actually, let's do something different, because it's easier to jump around. Let's say that I'm working on my ultimates, right? So I can go into VODs and do a really quick review where I jump to my ult, I quickly grade it, that's it. This was a bad blade. Because look at the distance between me and my targets. Not only did I not know where they were, but look at the distance I have to cover. This is terrible. I should be here. I should start the blade from here, right? So it doesn't take a genius to know that this blade is unlikely to work because they're going to be able to walk out. I'm going to need to use both of my dashes in, which allows them to use like the bash and the shield, right? Or sorry, the shield bash and the whip shots to boop me and move away, and then they are outside of range, right? So yeah, bad blade. Let's continue. Second blade.
My ultimate is ready.
Can I stop having pop-ups? There you go. Better blade, better range. It was hard to have a little bit of a better setup because the map opens up. So this blade is much better and it's gonna get value. Gonna get the kill here. Not only that, I'm gonna zone the backline onto spawn, right? So now we can just focus on the Winston and potentially kill. So honestly, it's a fine blade. Could have been better, maybe? Yeah, but it's a fine blade. Let's move on to the other blade, right? Only 3 blades here. Winston no jump, no primal, just finishing him off. Not the greatest of blades, but it gets the kill on the Winston. My Ana was gonna die anyway, so it was her call on the Nano, not mine. I could have tried to get the kill on the Winston without it, but I just decided that confirming this, right, forcing them into last fight territory was worth it. So yeah, I think the blade is okay. I think the blade is okay. There you go. I just did a quick self-review, right? And it's because I came into it already knowing, right? So when you already have a topic that you're working on, doing these quick reviews, I don't know how often you should do it. I don't think you should do it every game, but if you have a game that you're curious about, go into it, quickly scroll through your specific topic and only worry about that specific topic and do it fast, like I did, right? If there's something to learn, great. If there isn't, right, if it's just like a quick yes, no, or like yes, I did correct, just move on, right? And then like that, you slowly build up that specific idea, right, that specific concept. So these can be done more frequently, but I wouldn't spam them, right? Now for you finding a topic to work on, you shouldn't do this all that often, because if you have already a topic to work on that topic until you're satisfied or bored, right? Only then do another review to find the new topic to work on, right? So depending on your specific goal, there is gonna be different cadences that make sense, right? It doesn't make sense for you to look for another issue in your gameplay when you already have one that you know to work on, right? Work on it first, and then, right? Because then otherwise you end up like overloading yourself with information, you don't get good enough practice on each idea, and then you just end up wasting your time and not getting any good practice in. Right? Yeah, like if I was practicing my dash usage, good dash, right? Good dash. Etc. Basi, I'm gonna be ending stream very soon. So I'm unfortunately I'm not gonna be able to help you here. But I would recommend you join my Discord server. The link is in the description of the stream. And then you can ask people there. I'm sure that people are gonna actually like it. I have a lot of people that enjoy acrobatics in the server, from what I've heard. So they're probably gonna take a look at the server or your message, actually try it out, see if they figure it out, and then they can help you. Setting up? Yeah, setting up is a good topic. Basically, anything is a good topic. You can work on A ability usage, right? Like Spylo was, yesterday I believe, was working on his Fire Strike usage in Reinhardt, right? So all he cared about was his Fire Strikes. That's it, right? You could worry about your shield management. You could worry about your pin usage. You could worry about your timing. You could worry about your positioning, right? You could worry about so many different things. It's just a matter of picking one, working on it, and there you go. It's honestly like the whole practice thing is not all that complicated. What's hard about practice is being disciplined with it, right? Actually sitting down, going into your replay to figure out what topic to work on, going into matches and focusing on that specific idea, and doing so for a few matches, or a few days, or whatever it may be, right? That is the stuff that is actually hard about it. Because it's very easy for you to just log in the game and just play it. What's hard is to log on the game with an objective and accomplish that objective for practice, right? That's what's hard. So, hard work, right? What people usually think about, right? Oh, all of these streamers that are grinding the game 8 hours a day are like very hard workers. No, they aren't. They're lazy workers. Because they just log in and play. That's honestly not that hard. It's easy for you to feel accomplished, right? It's easy to feel like you're working hard and you're doing your best when you're quote unquote doing that thing that's work for a long time. But it's much harder for you to think about what's the best approach to do it and do it effectively, right? Like instead of, let's say, stream for 8 hours, spend 1 hour before the stream planning how the stream is gonna go, right? I planned the stream. I was like, okay, I'm gonna stream my VOD reviews. I'm gonna be educational about that content, right? So I'm streaming for less, but I'm getting much higher higher value on the stream, right? So yeah, it's interesting to think about this idea of like the laziness of hard work and what like actual hard work is, right? Actual hard work is not grinding this game 8 hours a day. Actual hard work is you VOD review yourself a little, you have a topic to work on, you give focused practice for however long you can keep attention, which usually is less than 3 hours, and then you maybe chill after, like play on an alt account, play on an off roll, whatever it may be, play quick play if you want to keep playing, right? But that's it, right? Like my climb to champion, this is the interesting part. On my climb to champion, I want you guys to guess what my daily playtime is. And has been for the last 2 weeks. 2-3 weeks. What to look for when reviewing dashes? I mean, there are a lot of different things about like the dashes, right? That can be bad. It can be like timing. It can be just like the exact positioning of it, right? So those are all like, you aren't looking for one thing exactly, right? Like you're looking for what good and bad usage is based on what you think, right? It's good to have like, let's say, an outside opinion on it, right? Like have heard from a coach what are the parameters that you can judge it by, and then after you judge it, try to find the reasons why and then learn from those, etc., right? Because yeah, you're right, like a dash can be good or bad for a few reasons, so, but I don't think you can break it down even further, right? You only look at dashes that are at the wrong distance or whatever, right? Like that's too much. Like that's too much isolation. 2 hours, 4 hours. I've basically been playing 1 hour. 1 hour, sometimes even less, 30 minutes. And I'm peaking. This is the highest I've ever been. Last season, I ended on... oops. Yeah, I can do this actually. I ended GM2. Oh, oops, that's the wrong one. I ended GM2 on my out, GM5 on my main. I queued right? This season, I am currently GM2 on both accounts. This account is almost GM1 with 12 games played. To be fair, this account did start at GM2, right? But I've been playing much less than I've been playing last season. And overall, it's just that I have done a good warm-up. I have mentally prepared myself for the matches. Done a lot of mentality work. So that when I do play, I'm very focused, right? Very, very focused. I can give it my best. So instead of having a high quantity of, let's say, 80% effort, 70% effort, I'm doing a concentrated amount of like 100% effort, 120% effort. I think I'm doing it a little bit too extreme. I could be playing more. I could be playing like an hour, 2 hours consistently, rather than, let's say, 1-2 matches a day, which is what I'm sometimes doing. If I'm not feeling like playing all that much on that day. But like, it goes to show like the value of it, right? And then, yeah, there, as all things, there is a balance, right? You shouldn't, oh, 8 hours is bad, so I'm gonna play a single game every day. No, that's too little, right? That's too little, at least for this objective, right? But it's still crazy to think about how I'm playing 1 hour a day, and I'm pushing the same as a pro would. When pros usually are considered like, to be pro, you need to be playing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, right? Which I kind of disagree with to a certain extent. You need to play a certain amount of hours to be able to practice, but then once you have that practice, it's just about executing it well, right? At which point, what matters is putting in good work, good smart work, right? But yeah, I'm gonna have to go now. I don't want to speak too much more because I need to save up my voice for workshops that I'm gonna host later this week, etc. Brain filters a lot of important information. Yeah, you get tired. You get, like, games. It's harder to like realize in games than it is in real sports when you're fatigued. But the fatigue is there, and that fatigue, you might not feel fatigued, but what's gonna show the fatigue is your play. You're gonna be playing with less intensity because you have less energy, right? Your body does not want to burn too many calories, right? Like, here's the fun part. If you run a mile or whatever, right? Like, you run for 30 minutes, right? To burn calories. You want to know what your brain is going to do the rest of the day? Your brain is going to be lower intensity so that you don't burn as many calories, and overall you're going to have you're going to have like essentially the same calorie usage if you didn't run. Because your body is just trying to regulate based on what you're doing to only use a certain amount of calories each day. Now, I believe that this only actually occurs after you have been doing exercise for a while. Like, if you weren't exercising and then you suddenly exercise, you can actually burn calories through the exercise. But calorie or a weight loss is mainly through diets, just eating less calories than you burn, not actually through exercise, which is interesting to think about. But yeah, if you think about how this applies to the game, it's what I talked about, right? You're gonna apply some higher focus earlier on, and as your body is like, wait, we're burning too much, if we keep up this energy usage, right, throughout the day, we're gonna exceed our quota, our daily quota, then you're gonna slow down, and then you're not going to give as much in your matches, right? Which is why the fatigue in game, where you don't feel the muscles, etc., it's harder to actually notice, right? It's quieter. Alrighty. If anyone has any more questions afterwards, feel free to join my Discord server, ask questions there. I'll probably be there right after I'm done the stream. And yeah, it's just a overall great resource to use for Genji educational content, so I would highly recommend it. And yeah, that's gonna be it for the stream then. Have a nice one. See you all in the next time. Bye bye.